I want to watch this, I watched like half of this, okay? Here's my intro for this. This is going to be fun. I watched like half of this, and then I was like, I'm going to save this for the show tomorrow. So, I don't know what's going on, but this is going to be extremely entertaining. All I know is that this is going to be extremely entertaining. So, Jordan Peterson, you know.
What rules, you sons of bitches?
Right, so Jordan... Can we talk about this clip, by the way? Like, I just want to listen to this again. Notice the way he says bitches, right? It's very, like, effeminate. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just, like, listen to this real quick.
What rules, you sons of bitches?
Like, it's very interesting. I don't know. Maybe I think this whole crusade of Jordan Peterson is to hide something. He's letting it slip here.
The bitches.
Like, I don't know. Anyway. So, Jordan Peterson went on a show with Kyle Kulinski. And I watched like a good 4 minutes of this, so maybe not half. And wow, this is extremely fun. Well, at least I am aware that this is going to be extremely fun. I know from the little bit that I watched of this, that this is going to be entertaining. And goddamn, so I want to watch this. This is going to be fun. Now, apparently there's a full, like, show, but, like, I don't really care about any of the other stuff, right? Like, okay, so I know that Kyle Kulinski seems to think that Jordan Peterson at some point in time was, like, an intellectual, but I really need people to understand, at no point in time has Jordan Peterson been an intellectual, right? He wrote a bunch of really basic books that I could write in my sleep, right? They don't tell you any, oh, clean your room. Oh, shit, no, oh, whoa. In order to not be depressed, I should clean my room. Whoa, holy fuck. That's, damn, you just changed the game here. Right, so again, these books are not impressive at all, right? Jordan Peterson became famous because he was attacking transgender people, right? So, anyway, I want to play this clip. I'm sure it's going to be fun. It's 12 minutes. Let's speed it up a little bit. Let's go to town.
So I noticed just the other day, you were banned from Twitter. Now, you know, I'm somebody, nobody can argue against my lefty credentials. Everybody knows I'm a man of the left. Having said that, my solution on this issue of social media censorship has always been, look, we need to expand...
Can we talk about, real quick, by the way, like, Jordan Peterson, like, what is this, like, this guy looks like he's about to cry any minute. Like, he looks like he's red in the face. Like, either he's had, like, 6 fucking, like, bottles of whiskey, like, right before coming on. He's red in the face. He can barely move. Like, I'm just saying, what the hell is going on here? Anyway.
And First Amendment protections. And the way you do that is to regulate these big social media companies like they're public utilities. So if you do that, then you know, basically you're saying this is the new public square and people can speak their mind here. Now, that doesn't mean, of course, you can't, you know, dox people or do direct threats of violence or anything like anything that's actually illegal will remain illegal. But outside of that, you can't censor people just based on political opinion. So, you know, I definitely wouldn't have banned you, suspended you, etc.
So the thing I appreciate about Kyle doing this, like, weird, like, I don't know why he does this, but I appreciate it in this instance because, like, what he's trying to do here is he's trying to come across as reasonable as possible to Jordan Peterson, right? In this instance, I think it's a good strategy. You're giving Jordan Peterson the rope, right? And the goal here is for him to hang himself. Now, I don't know if Kyle did this on purpose. I don't know if this was an intentional strategy. In fact, I'm willing to bet that it was not an intentional strategy because I know he does this kind of thing with a lot of really questionable people all the time. But in this instance, I appreciate it because Jordan Peterson goes off the rails. So let's watch.
But I do have a question about that specific tweet that did get you in trouble because, you know, you said something to the effect of...
well, I don't know if it got me in trouble. You know, I don't think I'm in trouble. Twitter banned me, but I don't consider that trouble.
That's fair enough.
Like, I don't know what that means. I don't...
Fair point. But you said something to the effect of, remember when pride was a sin, and the criminal physician...
And Ellen Page just had her breasts cut off by a criminal physician.
Criminal physician, exactly. So my question is the physician really criminal? If you agree that adults can decide to transition, then why would the physician be criminal? Don't adults have that right if they want to transition?
So, again... I watched Jordan Peterson's entire 15-minute short film, right? And I think it was like the 13-minute point, Like, he said that, like, there are some people that are rightfully transgender, right? Like, undoing his entire argument, right? So Jordan Peterson's argument is that if you're famous, you're not allowed to transition because someone might look up to you and do the same, and that might not be right for them, okay? But then, in the 15-minute short film that he posted about getting banned from Twitter where he was crying and whining like a child, right? He said that he acknowledged that some people do actually, like, you know, using these words like actually and need, right? Need the transition, right? He said that some people actually need the transition, and that, like, Elliot Page is like a trans trender who's making it harder for the real transsexuals or whatever the fuck to be able to, right? That was his argument, acknowledging that some transgender people are legitimate, right? So I think he acknowledges that, and he's going to take this opportunity to backtrack and say that there's no such thing as a legitimate transgender person, because that's what he's about to say here.
Not everything.
Like, okay, I just want to say, I want to go back here. Listen to this long pause. I'm going to put it at 1.0, right? So this is normal speed. Listen to how long this pause is, okay?
Can decide to transition, then why would the physician be criminal? Don't adults have that right if they want to transition?
Not everything legal isn't criminal.
Like, he thought, like, this was what's going through his mind. Okay, this motherfucker was like, what do I say? And then he comes out with the dumbest fucking okay, let's play it again.
They want to transition?
Not everything legal isn't criminal.
Like what? Like, not everything legal isn't criminal. What? Okay.
And do they have that right? See, I would have left Ellen Page alone if she hadn't been parading her new abs in a fashion magazine.
What? So, okay, let me get this straight. So, first of all, I know that this is a thing that Jordan Peterson does. He loves fashion magazines. Like, one of the most recent controversy before this one was that he was, like, rating, like, people on, like, swimsuit magazines. Like, oh, you're, like, too overweight for me, you're ugly. You're too underweight for me, you're ugly. You're beautiful, right? Like, what? Like, first of all, who reads magazines? Second of all, who reads fashion magazines? Third of all, who reads fashion magazines and, like, is a 60-year-old benzo addict freak show, like, adult male, right? Like, I don't know, man. It's a little weird, right? But also, why isn't Elliot Page allowed to be proud of his body? Like, that, what? Like, it, like, I just, what? So, again, this is what I said in the 15-minute short film video that I did of, like, these people, like, Elliot Page's crime is breathing oxygen. Like, I need you to understand. That's it. That's the crime. A transgender person was caught breathing on planet Earth. That is why all of this is happening. That's it. It doesn't matter about flaunting that doesn't mean anything. The mere fact that Elliot Page is alive and there is blood coursing through his veins, that's it. That is the extent of his crime. So let's keep going.
How many kids do you think she can convince to convert? One?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, again, the question is, don't adults have the right to transition? And then Jordan Peterson is like, Elliot Page, well, you know, Elliot Page's abs. What about the kids? That's not the question. Answer the fucking question. Answer the question. The question is, do adults have the right to transition? Who the fuck cares about whose abs? Who the fuck cares about kids? We're not talking about kids. We're talking about adults, motherfucker.
1,000? No, not yeah.
No, really? I want to respond to that.
Not yeah, really. What? What, motherfucker? You're not answering the question.
I think that with the trans community, it's very similar to the gay community, where back when that first became a big issue, people thought, oh, if we talk about it, if it's in magazines or whatever, we're promoting kids to go down that path. But really what happened is people are who they are, and if
that
they're
is what
gay, they
happened.
just decided to be
No.
like, yeah, I'm gay, and they were just more.
So, okay, Jordan Peterson, I guess, lives in, like, an alternate reality where, like, gay people are, like, grooming kids into being gay. Now, again, the real world, where everyone else lives in, whether they want to or not, including Jordan Peterson, is that gay rights are being more enshrined, right? And that means gay people are more comfortable coming out as gay. Now, again, the amount of gay people and trans people has been the same and will always be the same throughout human history. That's just a fact. In the same way that intersex people are going to be about the same throughout human history, people that are left-handed are going to be about the same throughout human history, right? The only variable being introduced is societal acceptance, right? Like, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, being left-handed was no big deal, right? Then religion comes along and says, oh, you're sin and God and hell. All of a sudden, people are like, right? Like, they're trying to, they're sitting on their left hand, right? They're doing all that stupid shit, right? So the only variable is societal acceptance. That's it. That's the real world. But Jordan Peterson has a fan fiction. Maybe he's working on a novel. I know he's a writer, right? So maybe he's working on some novel. I don't know. But this is, again, I think he's leaking one of the draft scripts for his new novel or whatever he's working on. But again, in the real world, everything he's about to say is not real.
Open and honest with themselves. So I don't think you're promoting people to do that.
No,
You're
that's
just
not
saying,
what happened.
if you
You're
are that, it's
completely
okay.
wrong.
Okay, well,
You're utterly
I'm
wrong.
listening.
There's
I'm
nothing
listening.
about that.
And now he's yelling. Now, again, the question, do adults have the right to seek health care? That's the question. That's Kyle's question. And now Jordan Peterson is yelling. He's in a fit of rage. He's getting red. Like, what the fuck?
That's right.
So
Well,
explain. I'm
there's
listening.
been an absolute look. One of the reasons that I opposed Bill C-16 in Canada to begin with.
Now, again, now he's doing the greatest hits tour. The reason why he became famous is because transgender people came to my classroom, sat down, and opened their books and wanted to learn. And I thought that was unacceptable. Like he's just going, like he's like a comedian. He's going into the greatest hits tour.
One of the reasons that I opposed Bill C-16 in Canada to begin with, this pronoun compelled speech bill, was because I knew.
By the way, that was never anything related to the bill at all. Like that's not what the bill had at all. Like he just made it up, right? Like the bill was basically just expanding protections for different kinds of people, and he turned it into this thing that it never was, never will be, and never has been. And that's how he became famous. He just lied about legislation. People brought him on TV, never really fact-checked him, and then that was it. Now he's famous. That's it.
Well, what was going to happen when we introduced confusion about gender identity into the public sphere.
Now, what does that mean, confusion? This is one of the things that the right loves to say. Confusion? Confusion. Like, yeah, I would say maybe there's a little, like a small slice of people that might have confusion. But most people are not confused. Most people know, I'm this gender, but society wants to force me to be this gender. There's no confusion there. The only confusion, really, when you think about it, is with society. Society's confused about how to give people rights, because society does not like to give as many people as possible rights. Society likes to hold rights for an exclusive group as possible, right? So again, I am this gender. Society is trying to force me to be this gender. In the same way, I am left-handed. Society is trying to force me to be right-handed. There's no, like, it's not like left-handed people are confused about which hand they want to write with. They're not confused. They know which hand they want to write with. It's everyone else that's forcing it upon them. So again, there's really no... Now, I'm open to the idea that some people are confused, and that's possible, but it's a small minority of an already extremely small minority, right? So again, he's like, maybe, again, I think what he's doing is he's working on a novel. And this is the only thing that makes sense to me. He's working on a novel, right? He's knee deep in a benzo relapse. Now, again, a lot of people tell me not to make fun of his benzo addiction. Go fuck yourself. I'm going to make fun of it twice as hard now, right? So I think he's like in the middle of a benzo related relapse, and he's hallucinating slightly. He can't tell like what's the real world, what's this novel I'm working on in this alternate history fan fiction world. Like, he's genuinely, if anyone is confused here, it's this motherfucker, let me tell you.
Now, the argument was that if we left people with gender dysphoria alone to make their own way and stop torturing them, that...
Now, the thing that's weird here, I'm going to let this play a little bit again, but the argument was that we stop torturing transgender people, right? I'm going to let this play a little bit again, but just note, why would you say torture?
we would decrease the mental health load on those individuals. And my analysis as a clinician was that for every one person of that sort that we hypothetically saved, we doom 1,000 more as a consequence of confusion and social contagion.
So again, there's no evidence for that. But he is literally, openly saying, the argument was we stop torturing people and they'll be happy. And I say, fuck that. I want to torture them. He just admits to torturing transgender people. His goal is to torture them. He just admits this. I want to play this again because it's important. He's just saying, people told me to stop torturing transgender people. I say, nah.
Those individuals. And my analysis as a clinician was that for every one person of that sort that we hypothetically saved, we doom 1,000 more as a consequence of confusion and social contagion. I knew the literature on psychogenic epidemics. They used to call that mass hysteria, and it's a literature that goes back about 300 years.
What about other kinds of literature that produces mass hysteria that's gone back about 2,000 years? It's called the Bible. It's called the Bible. This dumb motherfucker wants you to believe that transgender people breathing oxygen on planet Earth is an affront to the world, and he believes in God. Not just like his own personal spiritual relation with whatever he considers God as part of the universe. Nothing like interesting or unique like that. He believes in the Christian God. He's a Christian. He's a Christian fundamentalist. He's a basic bitch. He is the most basic bitch imaginable. He thinks the Bible is like the word of God. This is what this pride is a sin bullshit comes from. He's just a typical cookie cutter Christian fundamentalist loser. And he's gonna tell people like me that I'm confused? My man, lay off the Xanax. I don't know what to tell you.
And often when you introduce social confusion, you can produce a psychogenic epidemic, especially among, generally it's adolescent females who are most susceptible to it. So I thought, oh, well, what's going to happen is we'll produce a psychogenic epidemic of gender dysphoria among adolescent females. And
now again, I just want to be very clear. The reason why confused adolescent men love this guy so much is because he uses big words that they don't know the meaning of and they can't decode, and they think that that makes him smart. Like, again, he's basically just describing religion. Like, this guy is just describing Christianity or Islam or whatever. That's what he's describing. He's just describing religion. What do religious people do? They indoctrinate kids into believing that God is real, and if they're gay, they're going to go to hell. They're going to go to hell. So let me get this straight. If I'm gay, and an adult tells me I'm going to go to hell for all eternity, that's fine. Does anyone know how long eternity is? It's a long fucking time. So because I want to suck dick, right? I'm going to go to a fiery pit of hell for an infinite amount of time because I sucked one dick? I don't know, man. That's crazy. That's some crazy shit. If we want to talk about mass hysteria, I'm going to say, one, the people that believe in God. The people that believe that there's like another physical dimension known as hell. I got news for you. Other dimensions, they're not going to be physical 3D dimensions like we perceive them, okay? I'm just being honest with you. But, again, so there's a hell, but like this dimension, like, are you going to be in a human body in hell? Are you going to be like a soul? Like, what is this guy talking? But again, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. This guy's crazy. He's on drugs. Like, literally. He's on, like, he just, like, popped, like, 15 Klonopin right before coming on. Like, this guy's fucked up.
Is exactly what's happened. And it isn't the fact that we've freed up people who are, in doubt about their identity to be who they are. That may have happened.
And again, conservatives love in doubt, confusion. Motherfucker, I can tell you right now, no confusion whatsoever. If you see me and you think I'm anything but a woman, I got news for you. You are confused. You are on drugs. I suggest checking yourself back into that weird Russian rehabilitation center. Maybe eat a vegetable or two, motherfucker. Again, it's not that hard of a concept, okay?
A tiny minority of cases, it's absolutely and definitely the case that we've doomed thousands of kids to brutal, mutilating surgery and premature sterility. And we've done that on the altar of our hypothetical moral virtue and compassion.
Again, can he bring about any example? Any example of like a 6-year-old getting mutilation of their genitals? I can bring about examples of millions of kids actually getting their genitals mutilated. It's called circumcision. Does anyone know what Jordan Peterson's thoughts on circumcision are? Because, okay, I'm Jordan Peterson. I care so much about genital mutilation. It's my biggest problem. That's why I hate the transes, because they're all about mutilating genitals. So let's assume that's the case. If I were to be logically consistent and coherent, I wouldn't be a Christian. I wouldn't be religious. In fact, I would be anti-Christian. I would be anti-theist and go after religious institutions that promote circumcising babies. Right? Wrong. Because Jordan Peterson's a fucking dumbass. Right? But again, I need you to understand, these people, they don't have any coherence. They don't have any logic. There is no mathematical formula for, oh, yes, the logic of this is blah, 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 blah. They just spout dumbass shit. They're crazy. They're, in this case, literally on drugs.
Look, I read a corporate analysis of the trans surgery industry last week. Growth rate projection for you lefty types and your anti-corporatism.
Again, the solution... Now, first of all, there's inflation, right? So the dollar amount listed is going to go up on everything because of inflation. Second of all, the solution is a universal healthcare system. Third of all, again, if more people, because of growing societal acceptance, right? If more people are going to come out and more people are going to pursue medical treatment, then no fucking shit. There's going to be more medical treatment being given. No fucking shit. But again, if you're, the leftists would want Medicare for all. I'm interested to see what Kyle has to say. I don't think Kyle has talked. And is Kyle even in this video anymore? I don't know.
Growth rate projection, 15% per year. Invest now. A $350 million business as of 2022, projected to expand to $750 million by 2027. No moral hazard there?
Now again, the question was, are adults allowed to pursue healthcare? That's the question. And he has yet to answer that question.
There's plenty of moral hazard there.
And
that surgery is absolutely brutal.
So what percentage of the population do you think, in your conception of how this is unfolding, what percentage of the population do you think is going to end up being trans at the end of this? Do you think one day it's going to be like 70% of the country is trans?
Well, we know already that about 1 in 5 adolescents now identifies, to use that hated word, identifies as part of the hypothetical LGBTQ plus community.
Now again, like a kid who's like fucking 15 and who like kissed a girl and kissed a boy and fucking like at lunchtime, that doesn't make them trans. So again, how many people do you think are going to be transgender? Oh, well, we have a lot of people in high school and college are calling themselves bisexual, so I'm going to... No one cares. No one gives a fuck. Okay? No one fucking cares. Okay? Being bisexual, right, which is part of the LGBT whatever umbrella, right, that isn't being trans. So again, we're 0 for 2. Kyle's first question, are adults allowed to have healthcare choices? Didn't answer it. Kyle's second question, how many people are going to be trans? And now he's bringing up bisexuals, right?
So it's 1 in 5. I don't know what the upper limit is.
It's not 1 in 5. The statistic is 1 in 5 identify as LGBTQ. Most of that is people saying, yeah, I'm bisexual. That's most of that. That is a significant chunk of the 1 in 5. Of the 1 out of 5, right? Most of that is just bisexual. So 0 for 2. We're 0 for 2 on questions answered.
There's a consulting group in the UK now that's claiming there's 150 different genders. There's actually, I suppose, 7 billion different genders if you want to get technical about it, because everybody's temperament differs. But
okay. Whoa, hold the phone. I gotta get this. I gotta clip this. Hold the phone.
Different genders if you want to get technical. Different genders. There's actually, I suppose, 7 billion different genders if you want to get technical about it, because everybody's temperament differs. But I don't know.
Wow, man. All right, I agree with Jordan Peterson on this one. That's cool. Someone remind me to clip this. Look at this. It's at like 5:15. Someone DM me on Twitter. Whoever's got my DM me on Twitter. Remind me to do this, because that's a good
Know
one.
what the upper limit is. And I have no idea what the upper limit is for this surgical intervention. We'll see.
Doesn't
But
that,
I don't find it, I don't.
So, now, everyone, I'm curious. Do you think Kyle Kulinski's going to push back at all? Do you think Kyle Kulinski's going to push back? Oh, I asked about trans stuff, and you mentioned bisexuals. Is Kyle going to push back at all? Let's find out.
Find it the least bit acceptable. And if you think that your compassion is demanding that you extend your pity to the LGBTQ plus community at the cost of sterilizing children, you should think again. You're on the wrong side of this, and not in a trivial way.
So again, question: how many people do you think will be trans in like 10 years? Answer: bisexuals exist. There's 7 billion genders. Sterilize a kid. What? What?
I would appreciate if you don't ascribe beliefs to me that I don't have. Remember, my original question was
Well,
about...
you said earlier in this
said,
question that,
I said
that you
Elliot
were...
Page is an adult, and so do you think...
Okay.
that-
Okay, so Kyle's actually going to push back. So again, 2 questions asked, 0 answers given. So let's see where that...
he has the right to
Yeah, but
transition. That was the
You
original
made
question.
some comments after that. Yeah, but as a star and a public figure and a model for emulation, she also has the responsibility not to entice confused adolescents.
So again, using this logic, Jordan Peterson, as a star, right? As someone who's famous, doesn't Jordan Peterson have the responsibility to make sure that she does not confuse adolescent boys into thinking that there's a God? Right? Like, hello? Does talk about looking in a mirror, am I right, people? Someone passed the Xannies.
Into a catastrophic decision before they have the maturity to make that decision.
I just have to say, Jordan, I think it's a little bit of a moral panic. I just don't see some sort of, frenzy of
what
people
would you
wanting
consider-
to become trans.
First of all, that's a hell of a way to put it.
What?
Why don't you take a look at the increases in certain...
He's so mad. So again, I want everyone to know that, like, Kyle is doing the most basic bitch, like, pushback. You didn't answer my question? And now Jordan Peterson is yelling. He's, like, mad as fuck. Mila, no, I did not. Go back and rewind and watch.
Surgical interventions and see what you think. I mean, how many do you think is too many? How
Again,
many? Wait, look, if we're talking about
I'll
suffering,
answer your question. The argument is it used to be very repressed because that's very outside of the tradition and the norm and the standard, and that now when you sort of let the boot off the neck a little bit.
Suppressed? What used to be suppressed?
The entire LGBTQ community. I mean, it was very recently we even got
first of
gay
all, they're
marriage
not
in the United States.
First of all, they're not a community.
Well, you
What
understand
is
the point
this
I'm
community? No, actually, neither I understand it nor...
Okay, I'm just gonna be honest. On this one, I hate the term, like, community. Like, the queer community. Like, the fucking... I hate the term, like, insert minority here community. I agree with Jordan Peterson. I think it's awkward language, but you know what? That's not the point here, right? And Jordan's going to nitpick on garbage.
For you, and that's why we're delving into it. First of all, they're not a community. That's just a catchphrase. It's a buzzword.
Okay, and answer the question. Now, again, Jordan Peterson asked Kyle Kulinski one question. Kyle answered the question immediately. Kyle Kulinski has asked Jordan Peterson multiple questions, and she has yet to answer a single one. So just factor this into this equation. It's just, gish gallop, changing the subject, etc., etc.
And I'll tell you something else, that almost all the kids who are undergoing surgical intervention, the clinical literature is absolutely clear on this. 80% of kids with gender dysphoria identify as homosexual when they mature. 80%.
Okay, so first of all, homosexual. That is a sexual orientation. Okay? You can be transgender and also be gay. It's very possible. In fact, I think most trans people are gay. So, I'm just saying, okay? It's not like this idea that because a lot of trans people are also gay, that it means like trans people are just gay or something. Like it's not a logical thing. Like again, when Kyle asked how many people are trans do you think and going to be in the future, and he's like, oh, bisexuals. What? Like, this has nothing, they're not related. They're different concepts.
And that means the vast majority of people who are being converted surgically are gay. Now, how is that an advantage to the gay community precisely?
No, see, I'm not taking a position in any way, shape, or form on the kids because I don't know the first thing about this to comment on the kids. Well, but see, that's why we're having this conversation, though, is because my original question was about
kids.
The adults and what your take is on the adults. And it sounds to me like, let me ask you guys, would you ban transition surgery for adults?
Is he going to answer? Like, I notice, by the way, look how long it takes for him to answer a question. Everyone, if you haven't seen the clip, if you have seen it before, shut the fuck up for a second. But if you haven't seen this clip before, what do you think his answer is going to be? Type it in the chat. Let's see. Is Jordan Peterson going to come out and advocate to ban healthcare for adults? Let's see.
The adults. And it sounds to me like, let me ask you guys, would you ban transition surgery for adults?
Start the clock?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, really. We're paying a
me,
big price for it, and I think that it was an act of stunning hubris to conduct the first trans surgery procedure.
But
okay, I just want to remind everyone of this fun fact. A lot of people are familiar with Nazi book burnings. Did you know the first round of Nazi book burnings took place at medical institutes for gay and trans people? Nazis, as soon as they assumed power, went to these medical facilities, destroyed all of their research, murdered the people that worked there, and burned all the books of, again, medical research. You know those famous photos you see in the black and white Nazi book burnings? They're burning transgender medical research. So, what Jordan Peterson is literally doing is he is agreeing with Adolf Hitler. Now again, I'm not the one agreeing with Adolf Hitler. He is. He is saying the first people to do trans surgery made a big mistake. Adolf Hitler also said that. He agrees. Adolf Hitler agreed, and that's why he fucking had them executed and destroyed all the research. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Stunning hubris to conduct the first trans surgery procedure. And it's not obvious to me at all that it's been a net social good. And
but
so,
aren't there some people that are obviously trans, who were born in one body, they feel like they're in the other body, and when they're an adult, they can make the decision, and then even from just a freedom and liberty perspective, shouldn't they have that right? Even if they do it and then they regret it, shouldn't they have the right to try it?
It's a good question. I mean, it's a tricky one, right? Because
In the same question, let me ask this question. Shouldn't people have a right to pop 38 Xannies a day and then go to like a Russian rehabilitation center for 2 years and never eat a vegetable? I think people have a right to get addicted to benzos. I'm just saying, I personally do. I agree. Even if they regret it later, I think that people have a right to down an entire bottle of Xanax every day. I think that's their right. Even if I think it's unhealthy for them, and even if they will think it's unhealthy for them in the long run, they have a right to do it. That's my opinion.
there's all sorts of surgical enhancement procedures that are it's not obviously appropriate to make them illegal. And I don't know exactly where the cutoff line is, so to speak, and that's partly why we're having a public discussion about it. But this entire argument, in many ways, is stated so idiotically that it almost defies description. What do you mean, feel like you're in the wrong body? What kind of measurement is that? Now, hang on a sec. There are rules for these sorts of diagnostic decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The rule is that you have to make a valid and reliable diagnosis. That's if you're diagnosing depression or anxiety or obsessive compulsive disorder or cancer or anything like that. There are standard.
So again, yes. How do you define depression? I'm sad because I missed the bus. Are you depressed? If we need to have like a list of rules and a list of criteria to define depression, then guess what? We would have a list of criteria to define what gender dysphoria is, and guess what? We do. It exists. I know because I went through the process and I got asked a bunch of questions. I'm aware, right, of the existence of all of this, right? So I'm just saying, like,
standards that you have to abide by in order to make a diagnosis, in order to fulfill the obligations of your professional college. If someone comes to you and says, I feel like I have lung cancer, that is not sufficient grounds upon which to formulate a diagnosis, much less proceed to
lung cancer is a physical ailment. It's cancer. You can do a cancer screening. So is Jordan Peterson basically saying any like mental health condition or something that you can't it's like saying, oh, I feel like I have foot fungus, and then checking your foot and there's nothing there, right? So is he just saying there's no such thing as depression, anxiety? Because if there's no such thing as anxiety, my question is, why the fuck did you get addicted to Xanax? If anxiety doesn't exist, why does Xanax exist? I'm just saying, I'm just throwing this out there, just asking questions.
Surgery. Mm-hmm. And so the question is, what do you mean by feel? What is that? Is that an emotion? Is it a motivation? Is it a philosophical conclusion? What is it?
Let me explain to you what I mean. So I've been doing my show for about a decade, and about 2 or 3 years into doing my show, there were some stories here and there that I covered about the trans issue. Somebody who is trans reached out to me and explained to me in a very straightforward way, yeah, look, I was born biologically female. I feel like I'm biologically male. My reality never lined up. Well, I'm just explaining what they said, and then you can respond however you'd like to respond. And they told me as soon as I got the surgery, changed the way I dressed, changed the way I appeared, I felt phenomenally better. And so that's why, at least for me, this was the answer. Now, I think it would be incredibly arrogant for me to say back to that person, no, you shouldn't do that, or I know better than you do for yourself. And that's not to say that every time somebody does this, it works out well, of course, because everybody's an individual. But in some instances, that's the answer. So, me as a simple outsider, I just look at it and say, hey, whatever floats your boat, and if it works, it works.
Look, most of the time, my attitude is you can go to hell in handbasket any way you choose. If you're
what does that mean, hell in a handbasket? Like, what does that mean? First of all, hell doesn't exist. It's made up. I wish Kyle would push back on the hell thing. Like, this guy is a Christian fundamentalist freak show. Kyle claims to be an atheist, but, like, there is no hell in a handbasket, okay? It's not real, okay? It doesn't exist. There's no such thing.
Adult.
And also, again, I agree that you should be allowed to get addicted to benzos if you want. All right, we're in agreement.
This problem is complicated and compounded by the fact of the necessity of medical involvement and the ethics on the medical front. So when you asked me about how that should be regulated, my answer was I'm not exactly sure about that. Yeah, although it isn't obvious to me it's obvious to me that the trans surgery enterprise has gone way too far. Thousands of people too far.
How? Why? Can you get any criteria going at all? Any? Like one piece, one criterion? It's gone too far. Citation?
And I'm certain that it's harmed exponentially more people than it's helped.
I think the last statistic I saw is that about 1% to 2% of transgender people have detransitioned. That's the last statistic that I saw. And then in that small subset, most of the people that say that they have detransitioned have said so because they couldn't get access to medical care, because their family would disown them, right? Like their family like sent them to conversion therapy. They have nowhere else to live, right? So of the amount of people that have detransitioned, the most likely reason for someone to detransition is not because they aren't trans, but because other people are forcing them to detransition. So I'm just going to say, if it's exponentially more, it would have to be at least 51% of trans people have detransitioned, right? At least. For it to even get to the point where it's more. But if it's exponentially more, it'd have to be, I don't know what, it would have to be like 90%, 99%, but that's not the case. And there's no indication that that's the case. There's nothing.
All right, guys.
Anyway, I don't care about. I'm not gonna watch the full video, but I saw a little bit of this, and that's hilarious. But it needs to be understood. Jordan Peterson is a moron. He answered 0 questions. 0 questions. 0. 0. And he would sarcastically ask Kyle Kulinski a question, and then Kyle would answer the question immediately. Now, again, I have a lot of criticisms of Kyle Kulinski. I think he's kind of a dork, okay? That being said, I watch his videos, okay? Just being honest. But, like, I have no idea how anybody, for any reason, at any time, at any moment in human history, I've got no fucking clue how anybody could possibly ever think that Jordan Peterson had an IQ above 6. I just can't. I just can't. The guy's a fucking moron. First of all, he believes in God. Strike one, you're out. He believes in hell. He believes that bisexual people are all trans. He thinks that sexuality and gender identity are the same thing. The guy's a fucking moron. He's a fucking moron. He's a stupid shit for brains loser. It's just that simple. He's dumb as fuck. So anyway, every time I make a video about Jordan Peterson, I get a bunch of really mad teenagers. I read Jordan Peterson's book, and I was inspired. Okay, great. Happy for you. But now you can move on. So I wish the best for you. I hope you recover soon. In the same way that obviously Jordan Peterson is relapsing, and we need to have this serious conversation. This is the serious conversation here. Like, look at this guy's face, right? Like, look at his face. Now, again, I have no problem whatsoever with people that are addicted to drugs. I consider myself a drug addict. It's just that the drugs I'm addicted to aren't as dangerous as benzos, right? But, I mean, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. Let's just put this one to the public, okay? You tell me. Leave a comment in the comment section. Do you think Jordan Peterson is currently relapsing? Yes or no? It might explain why he goes on podcasts and cries all the time. He's cried on like 18 different podcasts in this year alone. He's cried on live on stream, on television. He's cried. So I'm just saying, just throwing this out there. I think he's relapsing. Anyway, Jordan Peterson, not bright. Definitely not that smart.
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
And then also,
all of a sudden we can't talk about Neanderthal DNA anymore.
that's all I got.